Jeff's Superscript is brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Collectibles, in my opinion, the best comic shop and clubhouse on the internet. Make sure to follow them at Black Cat Burbank on Instagram and ask them about their Stray Cats Club for special perks. Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books hitting Final Order Cutoff either on June 20th or 21st, 2021. All right, are you excited about a kick-ass Final Order Cutoff list? Well, then you're going to have to wait until a different week because this week's books are not particularly exciting, at least not to me. But I wanted to still make a video and let you know what's out there. There's a little bit of something that's going to be at the very end that I think you might be a little bit interested in. I know that I am. Let's try to move through these books as quickly as possible so we can get on with our lives. The first book I want to talk to you about is a book called Canto 3. Lionhearted. This is issue number 1 of a 6-part limited series from IDW. Here's the description. Fan favorite Canto continues. The tiny clockwork knight in search of a heart has found his people's freedom and has saved them from the curse of the shrouded man. But is he ready to face his enemy on the battlefield? After making the ultimate sacrifice, Canto bears a weapon that could defeat the Shrouded Man and free all the inhabitants of the unnamed world. Now he races to find a hidden settlement of his former slavers to enlist them as allies in the coming war. That is, if the Shrouded Man doesn't find them first. Just this July, join the latest adventure in the Cantoverse that major spoilers called A Quest Story to Savor. All right, so if you are on board for Canto and you've been reading Canto and enjoying Canto, you're going to be happy to hear about Canto 3, Lionhearted, coming out. And if you're not on board with Canto yet, you're probably not going to jump on with this. But if you have been looking for a jumping on point for Canto, here you go. You might want to reserve it before FOC hits this upcoming weekend. The next book I want to mention to you is Aliens. From Marvel Comics. Here's the description. For Aliens' 35th anniversary, a return to Hadley's Hope. It's been 35 years since the tragedy of the Hadley's Hope colony. But what happened to that ill-fated venture has been shrouded in mystery. A renegade crew of investigative journalists are heading toward the moon that Weyland-Yutani has wiped from all records, and they'll bring back the truth even if it kills them. And what remains in that bombed-out site will try to do just that. Benjamin Piercy and Dave Wachter imagine a terrifying possible future for LV-426 in this celebration of the 35th anniversary of one of the most influential science fiction films of all time. All right, Aliens is a great movie. I love that one. I think I've seen the very first one. It's not very memorable. I've probably seen Aliens, the second one, many times, and it's really, really great. So this is kind of in celebration of the 35th anniversary. They're returning to the scene of the crime, so to speak, and doing a little bit of follow-up. Could be pretty cool, could be pretty interesting. It's definitely a must if you are an Aliens fan. The next book I want to mention to you is Extreme Carnage Scream, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Scream is what it says. Scream, Curse of Carnage, writer Clay McLeod Chapman returns to the character to lend his lethal sensibilities to extreme carnage. Andy Benton has always been a fighter, and that's never been truer than since she bonded to the Scream symbiote a few months ago. But even after Absolute Carnage and King of Black, Andy has never had to fight like this. And worse still, if she can't save her symbiote from whatever unseen force is affecting it, she might have to do it alone. Okay, so we talked about Extreme Carnage, which is coming. This is kind of with that. This is Extreme Carnage Scream. Obviously, there's almost like a mini special event happening around all the symbiotes with the fallout from King in Black. All I'm going to say is that if you are a symbiote fan, you're going to get a lot of symbiote content coming your way. And if you aren't particularly a symbiote fan, you're not going to care about this at all. But I wanted you to know that it's on the way. The next book I want to mention to you is a book called Sinister War, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Dr. Octopus is back and the Sinister War has begun. Ock's got a new Sinister Six, and if you think he's thought big in the past, think again. What Ock doesn't know is that the Vulture has a sextet of his own, the Savage Six. It's an all-out war between two of the greatest villains in the Marvel Universe, and the only person they hate more than each other is Spider-Man. Spidey's in deep trouble with the toughest battle that he's ever faced. Nick Spencer and Mark Bagley team up for this epic Spider-Man story guaranteed to shock readers everywhere. With Spider-Man right now, Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe seems to be like, well, let's try a little bit of this with Spider-Man. Oh, well, let's try a little something with like this with Spider-Man. Oh, maybe something along these lines would be great for Spider-Man. There's really no focus as far as what they're doing with Spider-Man as a character. Although, I like the idea of some of the bad guys battling each other. It could be interesting. It could be cool. This seems, though, like a title for a hardcore Spider-Man fan. And if you are not a hardcore Spider-Man fan, you probably aren't going to care very much about this. And I have to say, I'm a Spider-Man fan, but not a hardcore Spider-Man fan, so I fall into the not really caring so much category. The next book I want to mention to you is Thor, number 15 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. The wounds of Donald Blake have not yet healed, and new hell is afoot. With all inhabitants back in Asgard and Odin's presence returned after being away so long, an air of tension now sits upon the throne. Father and son, all father and all father, Odin and Thor. Is this relationship forever doomed? And what does it mean for the 10 realms? Join the new Thor artist, Alessandro Vitti, for the start of a new arc. All right, it's been a few months since we had an issue of Thor, and now Thor is coming back with issue number 15. Still written by Donny Cates, but now the art is by Alessandro Vitti. Although it says something different here at the top. It says Michel Bandini at the top. That's interesting. So it's one of those people. But it's not the person who was doing it before. It's someone new. So I'm a big fan of this Thor title. It's my favorite thing that Donny Cates has been doing. I think it's been really, really good and really, really entertaining. So I'm looking forward to it coming back. Donny Cates also has a tendency, I don't know what the psychology is there, but he has a tendency to really kind of focus on father-son relationships. He did that a lot and almost primarily with his Venom run with, Eddie Brock and Dylan Brock. So now that Odin is back in the picture and both Thor and Odin, I guess, are both the All-Fathers, they're going to have to work out some tension and some of that dynamic right there. So it'll be interesting to see Donny Cates get into what he does a lot of, which is, once again, the father-son dynamic and relationship. But this title's been really good. It's been really entertaining. I expect it to continue to be those things, so I'm looking forward to its return. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book called Beyond the Breach, issue number 1 from Aftershock Comics. Here's the description. Life sucks for Vanessa. Her mother just died and her boyfriend is cheating on her with her own sister. To clear her mind, Vanessa is taking the California road trip that she's been dreaming about for years. Her postcard-perfect drive through old-growth forest quickly turns when the breach hits. A bizarre anomaly in the sky plunges California into a nightmare world populated with strange, extra-dimensional creatures. Now Vanessa, along with Dougie, an orphan child, and Kai, a strange fuzzball of a beast, must fight to survive if they ever hope to make it back home, if there's even a home to return to. Written by Ed Brisson and illustrated by Damien Coulciero, Beyond the Breach is a fantastical sci-fi road trip adventure about perseverance and finding family in unexpected places. Okay, so that description basically said everything that you need to know from this title and from me. It sounds interesting to me, so I would say that if you are interested in a fantastical sci-fi road trip adventure about perseverance and finding family in unexpected places, you might consider pre-ordering this title. And titles like this, I like to remind everybody, are ones that are probably not heavily ordered, even though it's a #1, it's Aftershock. It's probably not going to be heavily ordered by a lot of comic book shops. So if it sounds interesting to you, I would highly recommend pre-ordering it and making it part of a poll at your local comic shop before FOC, so you make sure you don't miss out on it on New Comic Book Day. The next book I want to mention to you is Horizon Zero Dawn Liberation, issue #1 from Titan Comics. Here's the description. Titan's smash hit comic series is back for a second arc. Critically acclaimed original creative team returned for a new chapter in the story of Alloy and Erend. Fending off deadly machines, the pair hunt down the killer of a member of the Osram tribe. Over 80,000 copies sold on #1. 11th best-selling comic of August 2020. New game for Horizon Forbidden West is coming to PlayStation in 2021, featuring fantastic cover art by Peach Momoko. Okay, that's pretty impressive actually, that issue #1 of this sold 80,000 copies, but I would love to see what the drop-off was from issue #1 to 2 to 3 to 4 of that first series. I got issue #1, I read it, and I was like, that's fine, and I stopped cold. I have a feeling that a lot of people were like me. So, if you're a big fan of the game, if you're, this might be something that you want to, maybe if you're a big fan of the first series, I should say, you might be interested in checking this out. But if you're anything like me, where I picked up the first one out of kind of curiosity and spec potential of sorts, and that's just about it, I don't think you're going to be so interested in this continuation of the story, but we'll see. The next book I want to mention to you is Ninjak, #1 from Valiant Entertainment. Here's the description. Out of the shadows and into the spotlight, the world's greatest super spy has been exposed. Colin King is Ninjak, and he has a target on his back like never before, with enemies lurking around every corner. How will Ninjak survive when there's nowhere left to hide and the world is gunning for him? Hang on to your hats, folks. Jeff Parker and Javier Pueldo are about to take you on a non-stop thrill ride. All right, when I saw this listing for Final Order Cutoff, I thought, oh, that's right. Valiant is a company that makes comic books. I almost completely forgot about them. It seems like I haven't talked about a Valiant book in any of my videos in a long time. I forgot, frankly, that Valiant exists. But they do exist, and they are giving us a new title, at least it's not a new title. Ninjak's been around for a while, but this is a new reboot on the character and on the title here with this issue #1. Who knows, man? Maybe you're a big Valiant fan, or you're a big Ninjak fan, and you're super excited about this title. If you are, congratulations. And if you're like me, I'm like, oh, that's right, Valiant exists. So I'm glad to see that they're still putting out a comic book. The next one I want to mention is a book called Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue #1 from DC Comics. Here's the description. Jonathan Kent has experienced a lot in his young life. He's traveled the galaxies with his Kryptonian grandfather and lived in the future with the legion of superheroes who were intent on training him for the day his father, Clark Kent, could no longer be Superman. There is a hole in the Legion's history that prevents John from knowing exactly when that will happen, but all signs point to it being very soon. It's time for the son to wear the cape and his father to bear the symbol of hope that has told the world who Superman really is. Join writer Tom Taylor and artist John Timms as they usher in a whole new era for the House of El. Well, I heard a little while back that Kal-El's time as Superman might be limited or coming to an end, and that young Jonathan here was going to be taking over his place. And it looks like that time might be coming sooner than later. They're at least teeing it up here with this title. Let's face facts. Superman needs a shot in the arm. It needs some reinvigoration. And maybe this title and this, having Jonathan Kent come in and take Kal-El's place might be just the shot in the arm that Superman needs as a kind of universe of sorts, or as a property, or however else you want to call it. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about Superman in any incarnation right now, and right off the bat, I am not particularly excited about this one. But Tom Taylor is writing it, and he is doing some good work that people are excited and interested in, so it might be worth checking out in his hands. The next book that I want to mention to you is We Don't Kill Spiders. This is issue number 1 of a 3-issue limited series from Black Caravan. The description reads, in the early Viking Age, a faithless Norseman detective is summoned to a Scandinavian hamlet where a series of murders have occurred. Discovering the dark and bloody history of the village, he investigates the local outcast, a necromantic witch who brings his atheistic values into question. Determined to prevent further homicides, the two band together to discover the identity of a serial killer. Okay, so because I read that so poorly, I'm going to try to sum up. We have a faithless Norseman Viking teaming up with a necromantic witch to discover the identity of a serial killer. Maybe that's adding up for you, even with the poor way that I presented it. But probably not. Probably not. It's not really interesting to me either, but it's new. And it's 3 issues, and you're into Vikings or necromantic witches teaming up to find a serial killer. Maybe that's like all your favorite things wrapped into one. If so, I highly recommend you put this on your poll before FOC, because there's not going to be a lot of these out there. And the last thing that I want to mention to you today is something that actually just popped up on my radar yesterday, and it appears to be on this week's Final Order Cutoff for DC, which is on Sunday, once again, as a reminder, a day earlier than everything that's coming from Diamond currently. So it just kind of popped up, and so I'm pretty sure that FOC is this weekend, and I am personally very interested in it, and I wanted to share it with you. It is The Nice House on the Lake, issue number 1, the second printing. It's basically just the A cover, but it looks distressed, which is actually kind of fun and appropriate, especially if you've had the opportunity to read issue number 1. But issue number 1 is quickly becoming difficult to find and not cheap. The A cover is selling for anywhere from $15 to $20. The B cover is probably somewhere between $9 and $15. So finding it for cover price is really hard to do. So you might want to consider picking up the second print. I highly recommend getting at least some copy of the first issue and collecting all 12 of them, because it's the first issue was really good, and I'm a big fan of James Tynion IV. So I highly recommend that you pick it up if you haven't already gotten your hands on a copy of it. But there's also a 1 in 25 variant right here for the second print. Now, that's unusual for there to be a ratio incentive variant for a second print, but I think it speaks to the excitement that people might have for this title. I mean, there's no 1 in 25 incentive variant for the second issue, but there's one for the second print of the first issue. So if I'm excited about this book, so I immediately told my comic shop, listen, make sure I want that 1 in 25, and I probably want at least 3 copies of the second print. So if you are also excited about this title and you want to make sure that you get your hands on it, it seems like the second print of this might be sneaking up on comic shop owners a little bit, so you might want to do yourself a favor and make sure that your comic shop knows about this book, and if you're interested in it, make sure you let them know about your interest so you make sure you get yours on New Comic Book Day. All right, that's all the books I wanted to talk about today. I want to once again congratulate all the people who are watching this video. I've said it once, I'm going to say it practically in every single one of these videos. Final Order Cutoff knowledge is power. I help out with a claim sale at Black Cat Comics and Collectibles. You all see their little logo at the front of these videos. And people miss out on books all the time because they're not taking advantage of information that's out there about what's coming out in advance, so they can make sure to reserve it ahead of Final Order Cutoff on their pull lists. And so congratulations, and I'm very happy with all of you who are getting this information because I really think it's valuable, and obviously you must agree as well. Tell a friend. Also, hit the like button if you appreciate this content, and if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe as well. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.